In an industry full of exceptional projects such as Titanic, Jurassic Park, and Avatar, it's difficult for animation to get the recognition it so rightfully deserves. It wasn't until 2001 where animation would get its own category for the Academy Awards, and since then, the animation industry has only improved and gotten more advanced with each release. The early 2000s was also around the time when comic book movies began rising in popularity, with Sam Raimi's Spider Man being the catalyst. And since that movie's release, more comic book movies began to emerge, and the ever so famous Marvel Cinematic Universe was born. Fast forward to the year 2018. The world got to see what Wakanda is like in Black Panther. We were reintroduced to the infamous Mark with the Mouth in Deadpool. Warner Brothers released their next movie for their DC Extended Universe, Aquaman, and Avengers Infinity War has made fans cry. When word got out that Sony was making an animated Spider Man movie, fans were curious yet cautious. Spider Man Into the Spider Verse had very big shoes to fill since it was releasing in the same year as other huge Marvel projects like The Avengers, Venom, Deadpool, Black Panther, Ant Man and the Wasp, etc. And Sony's track record in the animated movies department wasn't exactly the best. I mean, do you remember this movie?
Sweetie, you're so handsome when you make that face.
Plus, there had already been 6 different Spider Man movies beforehand with 3 different actors taking on the role. But when it finally released on December 21st, 2018, it was a breath of fresh air. What makes this movie stand out a little more than the other Spider Man movies, well, besides the fact that it's animated, but we'll get to that in a bit, is the fact that this isn't the same story that we know by heart at this point. Instead of Peter Parker, we are actually introduced to Miles Morales, an Afro Latino kid from Brooklyn. After sneaking out one night with his uncle, he's bitten by a radioactive spider, the same kind of spider that gave his favorite superhero his powers. When searching for answers one night, he stumbles upon an underground laboratory led by Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, where he plans to reunite himself with his dead wife and son, but from another dimension. His plan is stopped by Spider Man, but at the cost of the hero's life. He's confronted by Peter Parker from another universe, and they, alongside other Spider people from other universes, team up together to stop Kingpin from destroying the multiverse. Like I said, this movie is a breath of fresh air because it's not retelling the same story that we know. Also, this is the first major animated Spider Man project, and when I saw the first trailer, I was more than excited. The animation style is perfect and really captures the comic book feel that the studio was trying to convey. Upon rewatch of this movie, some scenes just wouldn't have the same impact if they were animated in a different style, like DreamWorks or even Pixar. Most of the main cast of characters also keep their masks on, but their expressions are so well animated, it makes it easy to understand what these characters are trying to say and how they're trying to say it, even with the mask on. Not to mention these characters and their voice talents of Nicolas Cage, Haley Steinfeld, and John Mulaney are just so much fun to watch on screen.
Do animals talk in this dimension? Because I don't want to freak them out.
If you take any still frame of this movie, you will see all these colors and even a slight grainy texture in the frame to simulate the look and feel of a comic book page. Also, the movie is really funny at times.
You gotta say I love you back.
Dad, are you serious?
I wanna hear it.
You want to hear me
I
say
love
it?
you, Dad.
You're dropping me off out of school?
I love you, Dad.
Look at this place.
Dad, I love you.
Dad, I love you.
That's a copy.
We can't really discuss the movie's significance without mentioning the elephant in the room. Spider Man Into the Spider Verse formally introduced an Afro Latino Spider Man to mainstream media and casual Spider Man fans. Fans of the comics are well aware of Miles Morales, but this is the first time we got to see him on the silver screen. In the year where Black Panther was released, Sony was able to give the black community yet another superhero they can project themselves onto. We also can't ignore the soundtrack. Throughout the movie, songs by famous black artists such as Sway Lee, Ski Master Slump God, and Juice WRLD, and so many others were featured. But where I think this movie really stands out is the theme. The movie does an excellent job in executing its main theme, which is carried over by other Spider Man movies.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Throughout, we can see Miles' drive to do good and uphold a promise he made to Peter, but not having the experience to do it. Time and time again, we see him struggle with villains or even containing his own emotions. This is an emotional journey for Miles, and the audience can almost relate to what he's going through, the need to step up, to do something right, to take responsibility. Miles wears a bright red Spider-Man mask throughout the movie, but when we see him donning his iconic red and black and finally taking that leap of faith, it's exciting. It's exciting to see him rise to the occasion and be the hero he knows he can be. The main theme makes this movie truly one of the best animated movies I've ever seen, and definitely deserves its Oscar for Best Animated Picture in 2019.